So tell me about today.
Okay, well today was an experiment really in kind of playing with the museum collection and what a museum is. And I wanted to experiment with the kind of placing musicians and artists who would not normally be in the museum and try to get them to respond or be inspired by the objects, the museum's collection, and how they're kind of cited in a museum, and also to this, because it's such a family-friendly place. I mean, I regularly take the kids here, especially when it rains. So, yeah, and I was interested in placing artists who don't normally come here, you know, in this kind of different context, to just see what happened.
Very good.
So some things worked, some things didn't work so well. And I quite liked that approach. It was just having this kind of DIY ethos in lots of different ways, from, you know, do-it-yourself electronics to do-it-yourself in the sense of participation, to, you know, people like Seydu, who is kind of maybe a more traditional musician who still has a sort of real DIY ethos in his instrumentation and his kind of approach to things. And obviously bands like APAT have that sort of DIY aesthetic. You know, they've been doing their own gigs, have their own labels, their own costumes. They've been doing that for years, so I was trying to bring those communities together into the sort of work that Donna does. And for me to learn things is we're not trying to sort of challenge the museum that much. We are in a sense, but we're also like trying to learn from how you do things here.
And tell me about the day from the museum's perspective, Donna.
The museum is something unique that really hasn't happened before. So it's given all these musicians a chance to come in and find out what the museum is about, and perhaps in the future that they can come away from the museum. It's also about bringing more people to the museum that was not even here. Especially with the collections, we're getting a chance to have a look at the collections that we wouldn't have had a chance to look at. Some of the instruments that are being played today, they've been special permission given so we can play the instruments. So also we've had a bass that's been in the collection, and if it wasn't for the partnership between Ross and I, we wouldn't have had the bass on display in the atrium today. It's a part of the European musical collection, and it's been allowed to come out of the stores just for a couple of weeks, and then it'll unfortunately go back in. So for people to come in the museum and see something that normally has only ever been on display for a couple of months, and for the amount of years that the museum has been in the stores, it's just something really doesn't happen very often. So that's, for me, it's been a real experience to get objects from the stores that just wouldn't have happened. And also music, I want to get more music in the museum. Many people on every floor doing music is just something, it's just brilliant, I would say, it's unique. And so it's been a really good experience.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of things that have gone on that you can't kind of see the evidence of here. That, you know, projects that we tried to develop. You know, we did try to push things quite a bit, what you could do in here and what you couldn't do. When we were talking about those kind of the collection, like a lot of the museum collection is not kind of visible, obviously, because you're trying to conserve them. So there were lots of plans that we tried to do in the background that kind of ran up to this, that some things that could happen, and maybe some things that will happen in the future because of, at least we've started a kind of different relationship. You know, maybe it's challenged staff, kind of the sort of culture of a museum. And then maybe it's wound people up in the wrong way. Maybe it's not, so I think it's worth sort of experimenting in that way.